Okay, this is our first lesson, Year 12, on Pure2. I think most of you have the books now. If you haven't, please let me know and I'll sort something out for you. Okay, now Pure2, the first chapter is on algebraic methods. I'm going to skip proof by contradiction, the first exercise 1A in this book, because it is really difficult to understand. Even when I'm teaching it in a class, it is difficult. So the rest of the chapter is fine, so don't worry about that. So I'm skipping out proof by contradiction at the moment. Obviously, feel free to read that yourself, and we will do that when we get back into lessons at school. Right, so Pure2, Chapter 1, write this in your books, please. Lesson 1. And I'll be setting a lesson every day of the week, apart from Wednesday. So you'll have 4 lessons a week. I would want you to try really hard to get each lesson on the day it's set, because you don't fall behind then. So each lesson on the day it's set. Okay, lesson 1, to multiply and divide algebraic fractions is your learning objective. Right, so we're going to go, this is work that you did at GCSE, so it's a recap of GCSE, lesson 1. And we're first of all just going to go back to basics. And we're going to look at when you are asked to multiply fractions together. Now, you can just multiply numerators, multiply denominators and cancel, but a quicker way is to notice that you can cancel the 3 here and the 3 here. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once. So you multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, and therefore you don't have to cancel at the end. So we're going to apply that now to algebra. So here, and please write down each example as I go through this, so you've got notes in your books to come back to. So here I can cancel y goes into y once, y goes into y once, and I have left x over m. Okay, at any point you don't understand, take a snapshot and email me that part, or email your teacher that part for them to go through in more detail. And question 3, okay, so noticing at the moment, well, I can cancel 2 into 4, I can cancel 2 into 10, divide top and bottom by 2. I notice this is a difference of 2 squares on the denominator here. So if I change this now, I'm going to write underneath a minus 1, I'm going to put that in brackets, over 2 times 5 over, well, it's the difference of 2 squares, so a plus 1 times a minus 1. So now I can cancel on the top and on the bottom, and a minus 1. As long as one's on the top and one's on the bottom, I'm fine. So on the top, I've got just 5 times 1. And on the bottom, I've got 2 lots of a plus 1. So that's my simplified expression. Simplify, it's best to keep it as brackets. Okay. I've got a couple more examples on this. Now we're going to go to dividing. Okay, well, we know for dividing it's keep, change, flip. Okay, so let's do that first before we try and cancel. So going back to basic numbers, keep, change the divide to times and flip the second fraction. Now we look at, can we cancel on the tops and bottoms? 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 4 once, 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 once. So on the numerator, I've got 1 times 2, and on the denominator, just 1. Okay, so let's apply that now to algebra. Example 5. So I keep the first fraction, divide changes to times, I flip the second fraction. The only thing I can divide top and bottom here is the a's. So a goes into a once, a goes into a squared, a times. So I have m divided by, times these two together, AP. So that's my answer. Okay, the next example. So keep, change, flip. keep the first fraction, change the divide to multiply, and flip the second fraction. Okay, do that first before you try and do any cancelling. Now I'm going to look at the second fraction and factorise the second fraction. So you notice I've got the difference of 2 squares on the top, and I can take out a factor of 2 on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to put brackets here, and now I'm going to look at what can I cancel, top and bottom. X plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 3, x plus 3. So I'm left with, on the numerator, x minus 2, on the denominator 2. So that's my end answer. Okay, so I've gone through multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions. And let's look at one last example on this. So at the moment I can't see any think I can cancel, but if I factorise here, I've got a quadratic. So I know 3 and 2, it's got to be 3 and 2 here. One's got to be negative and one's got to be positive. Change that and flip the second fraction. Okay, still I can't see any cancelling, but if I just write this out again and I factorise everything that I've got, so if I factorise here, take out a factor of 3. Okay, now I can see what I can cancel. Y plus 2, y plus 2. And so I've got 3 over y minus 3 as my end answer. Right, so I want you to pause the video now, please. Okay, have a go at those 4 questions, and I will go through those answers in a moment. So pause and I'll go through them. Okay, so let's see how well you did here. So I've got multiplication, cancel, divide top and bottom by 2, cancel by y, top and bottom, so I've got 2y over 5. Okay, so keep, change, flip. I can just cancel a's on top and bottom here, so a and a, and so I multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Okay, multiplication, so I'm just going to factorise everything. A plus 3, a minus 3 over a times 6a over a plus 3. Cancel tops and bottoms, and I'm just left with 6a minus 3 on the numerator. Last one. Question 4, division. I'm just going to factorise this. So 5 and 2, both got to be negative. Okay, times, I'm going to factorise the top over 8. Let's see what I can cancel. Okay, there's nothing actually I can cancel with my brackets at all. Nope. The only thing I can cancel here is 4 goes into 8 twice, and then I can cancel my 2. So I can't actually cancel any of the brackets, which is unusual. And at this point here, I'd ask myself, have I made a mistake? So I would just check. Oh, yes, I have made a mistake here. 5 and 2 don't make 12. Okay, so factors of 12. Oh, it's going to be 3 and 4. That's better, isn't it? Yeah, 3 and 4. So at this point here, okay, if you're not cancelling, you have probably made a mistake. Yeah? Okay, so x minus 4, x minus 4. So I've got x on the numerator and just x minus 3 on the denominator. Okay, well done. Let's go into the next part of the video. Right, so we're going to look now at adding or subtracting fractions. Okay, And this is leading us into the main part of this chapter 1, which is all about partial fractions, which is new to you. This is, again, nothing new. It's just a recap of GCSE. So if I was to add these fractions, what would I do? Okay, well, I would make sure that I have a common denominator. So I would make my common denominator 3 times 4. I would then say 3 goes into 3 times 4, 4 times. So on the top here, I've got 2 times 4, plus 4 goes into 3 times 4 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. So basically, I would be doing this. I would be doing 8 over 12 plus 3 over 12. I've changed each of these fractions to an equivalent fraction in 12ths, because I can't add fractions or take away fractions unless the denominators are the same. And this bit here is the method that you'll be doing with algebra. Okay, so my end answer is, if I work out the top, I've got 11 over 12. Okay, so keep on reverting back to how to do it with numbers if you forget to do it with algebra, because it's the same principle. Right, so let's look at an algebra example. So what's the first thing I need to do? The first thing I need to do is to make the denominators the same. So I'm going to multiply the denominators together, like I did here, doing 3 times 4. Then I say, how many y plus 2's goes into my denominator? Okay, how many y plus 2's goes into here? Well, it's y minus 3 times. Okay, just like this example. How many 3's go into 3 times 4? Well, it's 4 times. I just cover up how many y plus 2's divide into here. And I've got 4 on the numerator, so it's 4 lots of y minus 3. Plus 2 lots of, well, how many y minus 3's divide into the denominator? Okay, well, how many y minus 3's? I've got y plus 2 lots of them. Okay, now that's the tricky bit. That's the bit you really need to understand. So go through that part again if you're not quite sure, and go back to how I did it with numbers if you're not sure. Some students find that really difficult. Okay, so I'm simplifying all of these fractions. So on the top, let's just see what I've got. I've got 4y minus 12 plus 2y minus 4. Okay, now I'm not going to multiply out the bottom because this is as simple as I can get. And now I'm going to see if I can if I can simplify the numerator. So I've got 6y on the top minus 8 over y plus 2y minus 3. And now can I do anything else to simplify? Well, I can take out a factor of 2 here. So I've got 2 lots of 3y minus 4 over y plus 2 times y minus 3. Sometimes your fractions here again would cancel, but in this case it doesn't. Okay? Right, the last question. We're going to now look at question 3. And this is subtraction, so exactly the same method as if you were adding. Now, at the moment, this is the most complicated example we've looked at so far. At the moment, I can't see what my factors are here. So what I need to do, first of all, is factorise both of the denominators. And let's hope they do factorise. Okay, so I've got x. Now 2 is 1 and 2. And they've both got to be plus. Some of you might use the AC method for this. I just do it by inspection when there's no coefficient in front of the x. Okay, x, 2 and 2 make 4. It's got to be add. Okay, so I've got my factors here. Now, when I put this over a common denominator, I only have to use each factor once. Okay, so I've got x plus 1 times x plus 2. And I only need one of these. Now, why is that the case? Well, you can see that this will go into here this many times, x plus 2 times, if I just box that. Yeah? So if I now divide this bottom into this denominator, I'll have x plus 2 lots. So I need 5 lots of x plus 2 on the numerator. And then, just using a different colour, if I see I've got, that's my denominator here, x plus 2 times x plus 2. How many of those goes into my denominator? Well, I've got x plus 1 lots. So I've got minus 2 lots of x plus 1. Okay, go through that again if you need support on that. Right. Let's now tidy up the top and see if we've got any more factors there. So I'm just multiplying out the brackets on the top. And my denominator, I'm not going to multiply this out because it's already in its simplest form. And let's see what else I've got on the top. If I now just simplify, and this will now be my answer. At this point, I would see if I could factorise the top, but I can't, so that's my end answer. Okay, so we've gone through some examples of multiplying, dividing, adding and subtracting. I would like you now to have a go at these 5 questions now. Pause the video, please, and have a go at those 5 on your own. The last one is a challenge. I will go through that after you've paused the video. Okay, well done. Answers for each one then. So let's go to a number 1. So my denominator is 5 times 4. How many 5s goes into the denominator? 4 lots. So I've got 2 lots of 4 on the top. Plus, how many 4s go into the denominator? 5 times. So I've got 5 lots of 3 on the top. So I've got 8 plus 15 over 20. So if I simplify that, I will have 23 over 20. Okay, this next one. My denominator will be 3 times 2, or 6. 3 goes into 3 times 2 twice, so I've got 2 lots of A. 2 goes into my denominator 3 times, so I've got 3B. So my answer is 2A plus 3B over 6. Okay, question 3. My denominator, I just times the 2 together. This is like your lowest common multiple. X minus 2 goes into the denominator x plus 1 times, and I've just got one of them, plus 2 lots of x plus 1 goes into here, x minus 2 times. So let's multiply out the top now, all over my denominator. Let's simplify, all over my denominator. And then if I just multiply out the top, x minus 2 times x plus 1. It doesn't cancel. Normally these would cancel, so I go back and double check that I've made no mistakes. Yep, I can see I've made no mistakes. Okay, question 4. Getting really complicated now, so let's first of all factorise the denominators. Okay, so I've got x, I've got a 3 and a 3 make 9, plus, plus. I've got a 3 and a 1 here. Okay, so my lowest common multiple Well, I need x plus 3 twice and x plus 1 once. I don't need an extra x plus 3. Okay, so I'm just going to show you with boxes now. So how many of these go into the denominator? X plus 1 times. So I've got 3 lots of x plus 1 minus. So how many of this denominator, this denominator, goes into the lowest common multiple? X plus 3 times. Put it in brackets because of your negative sign. That's where you may have gone wrong with this negative. Right, let's multiply out the top. Minus 3, be careful there, over your 3 brackets. Okay, let's look at the top. We've got 2x, just a 2x, haven't we? The 3's cancel. And we've got the same, I'm not going to write that out again, the same denominator. So there's my answer. Right, question 5. The last one before I give you the work to do at home. Quite a long video, this one. Quite a lot to get through. So well done for listening all this time. This is the very last question now. Okay, so this is exactly the same method. I've just got 3 linear factors. So I've got y plus 1, y minus 2, and 2y plus 3. So exactly the same method. What do I have on the top? Well, I've got 2 lots of, well, y plus 1, if I cover that up, what have I got left to go into my denominator? Y minus 2 lots of 2y plus 3. Minus 3 lots of. Right, cover up my y minus 2. Y minus 2 goes into the denominator, y plus 1 times 2y plus 3. Hope I don't run out of room here. Plus 1 lot of, well, it goes in this many times. Y plus 1 times y minus 2. Right, now we've just got a lot of multiplying to do and tidying up. I'm not going to keep on writing the denominator each time because that just gets annoying. So I'm just going to look now at the numerator. So I've got 2 lots of, okay, I've got on the top, if I multiply out 2y squared plus 3y minus, make sure I don't make a mistake here, so I've done that, minus 4y minus 6, minus 3 lots of 2y squared plus 3y plus 2y plus 3. I just did times the y with everything, times the 1 with everything. Okay, plus y times y squared minus 2y plus y minus 2. Okay, now I'm going to multiply everything out and simplify at the same time. So I've got 2 lots of 2y squared is 4y squared. This just makes minus y, so I've got minus 2y minus 12. So I've done that bracket. Okay, minus, going to multiply this out now, minus 6 lots of y squared. This makes 5y, so I've got minus 15y minus 9. Don't forget you're multiplying it with minus 3. Plus, I don't need to do any multiplying, just simplify the bracket. Okay, so let's put all my y squares together. So I've got, if I look at all these y squareds here, I've got minus y squareds. How many y's have I got? 15, 16, 18y. And how many numbers have I got? 21, 22, 23. All over my numerator. Now, I have got a prime number here, 23. So I've got no factors going into 23. I can't, 23 and 1 is not going to make 18, so I can't make it any simpler than that. So that is my end answer. Brilliant. Okay, very long. Well done for listening. And here is your work. That is on Show My Homework. Okay. So, exercise 1B, these few questions. Exercise 1C, those. And this is your optional extra work. Thank you for listening today. And I look forward to another lesson with you tomorrow.